All right, we are recording. Hello, everybody, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. And today we have some incredible inspiration for you. I'm so excited. When I'm watching all of these other YouTubers' channels, it's all, doom and gloom and all the terrible things happening all over the planet, but they're not giving you any kind of solutions or making you go away feeling icky about your life, icky about the planet situation. And there's nothing inspiring about any of it. And when you come to my channel, what are you getting? You're getting positive information and loving and compassionate information and healing information and inspiration. And so today on my show, I have with me an amazing special guest, Mr. Noel Wu. And before I tell you a little bit about Noel, I just want to point out a lot of you who follow me on social media, who've been seeing my Facebook posts and watching my videos, you know that I have an issue with celebrities and the whole rich and famous thing. I have an issue with that because of the entitlement, and a lot of the Hollywood is very dark. A lot of the stuff, every one of you who follow this channel are all patriots and truthers, and you know that the trafficking and all the terrible things that have been going on in Hollywood makes you not like celebrities. But I want to tell you right now that you cannot assume that just because a few people are really bad, that everybody's really bad. And there are a lot of celebrities like John Voight, James Woods, what's his name, who's Jim Caviezel. There's
Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson. There's a whole bunch of them Scott Baio. There's just a laundry list of celebrities in Hollywood who are amazing, wonderful patriots. They are truthers, and they don't have, and not only do they not have anything to do with the satanic Luciferian, what we call the Illuminati group, they also are calling them out and spilling the beans and, uncovering, Corey, what's his name? Corey Feldman, I think it was.
Corey Feldman, yes.
Corey Feldman. There's a whole bunch of celebrities over the last several years that are coming out and spilling the truth about all the terrible things going on in Hollywood. And Noel Wu, my guest today, he was involved with a lot of these A-list celebrities. He was the kind of the official couture guy to some of these people and involved with the red carpet and all of that. And he is one of these truther patriot people who we love, who've walked away from that insanity and are calling him out and spreading truth all over the world. In fact, Noel's main goal is to help the planet, ascend, to help spread the truth about everything. And he's making this kind of his life purpose right now of all these incredible things he's doing. But the main reason I'm having him on my show, even though he has a celebrity incredible background, is because his story is so inspirational for all of you that you have to hear it. I mean, I had tears listening to him because his story is just so amazing. And I want to inspire you and teach you all and lift you up in any way I can right now during this crazy, insane time on this planet. So Noel Wu, just a little bit about him. He's a couture high fashion designer and image connoisseur turned truth seeker. He has 3 decades of exclusive inside in-depth expertise within the high-end couture image and haberdashery high fashion designing industry. Noel began his professional endeavor as a couture high fashion designer, image connoisseur, training and working closely with the world-renowned legendary Donna Karan. Okay, most of you know who Donna Karan is, DKNY, one of the top designers on the planet. And Noel worked very closely with her for a long time, and a lot of other very famous designers as well, designing and dressing countless of top upper echelon men and women across a variety and diverse, high profile professional backgrounds. Noel's forte is all about the total image and mindset shift, transformation from within. With the following 3 M's: simplistic anchors, model, mindset, and mentor, and his proprietary principle foundation, simplicity speaks elegance. Noel is also a #1 international best-selling author of the international best-selling title, which is a collaborative work with Mark Victor Hansen and Jack Canfield, the authors of the ever popular Chicken Soup for the Soul series. and the title of your book, I don't know why it's not here. She sent me this really short bio, so I'm going to have you tell everybody what the title of your book is, because it's not here. So you wrote this book.
We're not here. We're not here. That's the reason why, is that when my book, it's not about my book, it's about the message. That's why. So
Okay.
I can give the title of the book.
Yeah, so he has a book that he wrote, but without further ado, welcome Noel to my channel. I'm so happy and honored to have you here. Thank you for joining me.
Likewise, the feeling is mutual. And, I always like talking to people who have the same mindset and like-minded people. I mean, it's so rare out there right nowadays to find people like that, because everybody mostly are just asleep, and they don't realize what's going on behind the scene, and they think everything is just going to be fine, and the system's going to take care of itself. And then at the end of the day, I mean, they wonder why they got left out. So anyway.
Yep. So Noel, your story is so inspirational. And one of the main reasons I wanted to have you here today was to share your story that you shared with me. Is if you can share kind of more of an abbreviated, because we talked for like 4 hours last time. So we talked for a really long time. Noel and I have a lot in common, and we just really, my energy and his energy just clicked really well together. And I just love this man because his soul is so beautiful, and but he has a lot of information. So is there any way that can you give it the audience just kind of the briefest description of your life story of how you got from where you were to where you are now, because it's so inspirational?
Okay, I'll give you the short version. The short version is really I'm a Chinese descent. I was born and raised in Bali, Indonesia. Which is the country that is the 4th largest populated nation in the world. A lot of people didn't know that. The 4th largest populated country is really, there are a lot of people in there. The first obviously is China. Number 2 is India. Number 3 is the US. The number 4 is Indonesia, and they are the largest Muslim populated country. So if you imagine, you take all Middle Eastern country, all the Muslim Middle Eastern country, all the whole planet, you add them up, all those Muslim countries together, they don't even come close to the Indonesian number of Muslim in Indonesia, the population. So that gives you an idea how large of the Muslim population there in that country is. And unfortunately, also the country is really not very, the political system is very, very shaky. Although they want to call themselves a republic, it just, obviously it's all controlled by a cabal, and the government has been corrupted one after another, and they had history of hating and really isolating Chinese in that country. So if you're a Chinese person in that country, you're born there, you better be wealthy. If you're wealthy, then you will live like a king. If you are poor, then you really literally have to start praying for your life. So my story is that my parents, my mom and dad, escaped China, the communist system, when they were very young, when my dad was 14. And they had this arranged marriage, my dad and my mom. So they escaped China together, and then, the communism, and landed in Bali, and then really started his own endeavor and became very, very successful as an entrepreneur. So, but he fell ill very early on, when he had cancer, nose cancer. He was dying in his deathbed, and I was 9 at that point. His best friend that escaped China with him, supposedly his best friend and partner, cleaned up the bank account and just disappeared. So he was forced to declare bankruptcy while he was dying on his deathbed. I remember a few days after he declared bankruptcy, we, as a family, a lot of men came into our mansion and, collected our personal belonging and just threw it on the street. And that's all it was. I mean, so we went from having everything to nothing from one second to the next. And so we were forced to, survive that. From that point on, life was about surviving every single second of it, because we had nothing. We were forced to move into a swamp, worse than a swamp here, obviously. The place that we lived in where, there's no floor, was dirt, and there's no roof above us. We had to be creative, try to, get ourselves in a safe place. And plus swamp, obviously there's no place to be, and there were weeks and months, I think, that we didn't have much of to eat, so the name of the game, life, was all about surviving. And also, I remember that, we were starving, but the starvation was not the main point, because you were so afraid and you were so much in fear of your life, losing your life, that the starvation didn't even become the significant point of your life. So I did not feel hungry. I know I was hungry, but but I was more worried about my life being taken away. So I had to fight fights that I didn't have to fight. I had to train myself martial art, many years on the ground, just to protect myself. I escaped death twice. The second time that I escaped death, that was the time that I had the turning point. My head was down in the gutter water that was so disgusting. I could still taste and smell it right now as I was telling you. That gutter water, and it was just at the nick of time. My life was saved because of the dark where I was. My head was pinned down by 12 men. And I started praying for myself, and I started mending, making amends with all those people that matter in my life, because I knew I was going to die. Because if that car didn't drive by another 6 or 10 seconds, I would have died, because I couldn't hold my breath anymore. So the car drove by, and the 12 men split and left me almost lifeless. And from that point on, that became a turning point in my life. And I told myself, if this is as worse as it gets, it wouldn't get any worse than this. So I made a commitment to myself. I want to be able to one day help those people who are less fortunate than I am. So I worked my tail off. And from that point on, it was all about surviving. And then we immigrated to the US. Same thing again, all over again. When we first got here, we came with nothing. Airline tickets were a donation from church and friends when we got here. So we came with one set of clothes with nothing in our pocket. So when we got here, it's just another surviving environment. It's just a different atmosphere, a different environment, but it's the same name of the game was surviving. I spoke very little English at that time. It was just, to think back, all those things happened for a reason. It just made me stronger as an individual, and set the goal straight for me. And really the vision of life just completely became very clear, at least for me, that there's this purpose of my life is really not just to live life every second of it, just to survive. I have to do something different. I have to do something big that is much bigger than myself and anything that I ever thought of. So I really worked myself all the way through where I am today because of that drive and that turning point. So
Wow. So how did you get involved in the fashion industry? So we know the story that you told me, and you just told everyone about how you went from basically a lot, and you hear this story actually a lot, even in the United States. You hear stories of families where they had everything and then they had nothing because something happens. The father loses the job and they lose their house, they lose everything, and then they get it all back again. So how did you get involved in the fashion industry, of all things, with your background, being in Indonesia, being of Chinese descent, and, not having the kind of, how do you want to say, things that we have here in America? Americans take it for granted. I feel like a lot of Americans take what we have so much here. Like, even if you're poor, you can go to a college and all of that. So how did you get to where you've gotten with the couture industry and the fashion industry? What was the leap, or what was it that you did that got you into that? And what motivated you to get into that industry versus other industries that you could have gotten into?
I guess everything just sort of kind of fall in place by on I guess by destiny, I should say. I mean, a lot of them, I would call it serendipity. Um, I started earning wages when I lost my dad at 9 years old, and at that point on, it was me a lot of lessons. Life is not about what you have and what you own. Is Life is about what you see and how you see it, and how you carry yourself, and how you present yourself. So, so self-confidence and mindset became a very, very big focus in my life. Because as a 9-year-old kid, I earned 25 cents a month, a quarter a month, as my wage at that time, selling noodle on the street. It's not about what you do. It's not, there's no shame of what you do in life. What makes it shameful, and how you really, manifest it, you know. So when I got here, I worked really just, my first job was a janitor, cleaning bathroom in a Save on drugstore. I remember that, working in graveyard shift. And I went to college, and, really with everything that I had on my own. When I graduated from the university, at right before graduation, and there were a career day on campus. So I thought, I stopped by. I stopped by at the career campus, day, and I met this man. It was just destined to be, I guess. He was scouting for talent from universities, and it turned out he's with a firm, one of the leading firm in the industry that exclusively produce Donna Karan high-end couture line. I met him. We had a very, very, very compelling discussion and conversation. We spent almost half a day because, we connected very well. But nothing happened because he was not hiring at that point. He was only scouting. So he got my contact information. We say goodbye. Right after I graduated, after I think the graduation took place in late May, last week of May, and then the commencement walk was first week of June. I got a call from that man second week of June. He called me up out of the blue.
Wow.
He said, that conversation left me struck silly. He said, I never forget what we talked about, the day that we spent. He said, and you just left so much impression in me. I met so many people that day, and throughout this time between I met you and now, you are the only one stuck out. So you're the only one I'm calling. He said, wow. I want you to come on our program. We had this, almost like a training apprenticeship program. He said, I want you to come on because this is a pilot program for us. We want to bring somebody fresh from fresh mind, young. And he said, we want this person to become the driver of this division, our couture line. So we want to mold this person to become that person. Wow. So he said, are you up to it? Are you on board? I said, hell yeah. I mean, just bring me on. I signed up for a janitor job at Save on Drugs. I said, I'm humble that you picked me, I said. So that's how it started. And I worked my tail off learning the industry and just absorbing the industry, absorbing what I needed to know and what I needed to do, wow. And when I met Donna Karan, and she said, you remind me of myself a lot when I first started. She said, because she was an errand girl for Anne Klein. She said, so yeah, you just have to know what you want in life, she said. And I see that in you, and it reminds me of myself, and that's why she said, I'm glad that we work together. So that's, the rest is history. So
Wow. And it's interesting because my audience, there's a lot of things about me that they don't know. There's a lot of things they don't know. And one of the things they don't know is I have a degree in fashion design and merchandising. And I had this dream. Do you know who Bob Mackie is? Of course, you know who Bob Mackie is, the designer. I mean, I don't know if the people listening know who Bob Mackie is, but Bob Mackie designed a lot of the gowns for people like Carol Burnett, and costumes for like Carol Burnett and a lot of very famous celebrities that walked the red carpet on the Academy Award. And when I was a young girl, I was obsessed with fashion. I read Vogue magazine and all these different, things. And I wanted to be the female version of Bob Mackie because I would sketch these beautiful gowns. I love gowns. Like I really love gowns. And so I got a degree in fashion design and merchandising. And I wound up not going into that industry because as I was going through the training program to get the degree, I was learning more and more about the industry. And the biggest thing I learned is how ruthless it is, and how they step on each other's, everybody steps on each other's heads and they eat you up, they chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
And in order
That's understatement.
Yeah. It's a really ruthless competitive industry, and people will claw their way to the top, and people will, and this is all cabal created kind of stuff because competition is a third density. It's a third density construct. And fifth density, when the world is ascended and everybody's living in this loving, compassionate environment, there is no competition. There is no clawing your way to the top and beating out all of your coworkers to get their job and treating people like crap and having to work in really horrific kinds of jobs to barely make any wages at all to support your family. All of the things of these industries, like the fashion industry. It's not just the fashion industry. There's a lot of industries like this where, people are just horrible to each other. The managers are horrible to all the people below them.
Yeah.
And this is all very, very cabal created this way to keep people enslaved, to keep people downtrodden, to keep people where they're in a place of fear and sorrow and suffering and grief all the time. And in the future, people will have jobs that are what their purpose is and what make them happy and make them feel good. And when they go to work, they will have bosses that are loving and compassionate and not treating them like slaves and not treating them rudely, treating them with respect and kindness, which doesn't happen in the corporate world right now. In the corporate world, people treat each other horrible, absolutely horrible. And that is all created. It was created that way, totally created that way. And I know you're not involved much with that anymore, but what do you think are some things that will have to, like, how do you want to say, collapse or be taken apart or change to go from that type of a scenario to a more a more 5D type of work environment for people? What do you think are some of the things that need to happen?
That's an excellent question. I think it all starts from ourselves. That's how I see it. People just don't realize that they always look outside when something wrong happens in their life. They're always trying to find that outlet. It's never themselves that cause it. Actually, everything that happens surrounding around you and in your life is really started from you and from yourself. It's manifested from every action and thought and energy that you send out, because you're the center of it. So you're the center of your own universe. And that's the idea. And all of these things, that negative and bad things in the world that's taking place, none of it's happening by accident. None. Everything is really either it was perpetrated and pre-planned as a what they want to call it, as a conspiracy. But people just didn't realize that, I have no control over that. That just happened. There's nothing I can do about it. See, everybody has the same mentality. That's why nothing good is taking place. So if everybody start thinking that they're their own, the center, they are the center of their own universe, and really start taking inventory and taking accountability of themselves, of what's been going on in life or surrounding them, then at the end of the day, if they really do that, what I call it in accounting is balance sheet. You have to have the balance. If you don't have the balance, then you're really out of place. That's what everybody's balance sheet is happening. There's, if you look at their balance sheet, it's just none of them is balanced. Every one of them is out of balance. That's the problem. And that's where it needs to start. That's why we created our proprietary curriculum called the Mindset Shift program, because I believe if I can just help people really start thinking about their own accountability, and then change and shift that mindset, just a tiny shift, it will really open up a floodgate of opportunities and positivity and things to come in their life, and they have no idea what the potential is. And that's the thing, I'll give you an example. When we used to do active full-blown in our business, I do this red carpet event, or also a stage live event of makeover. Okay. One of the event that we did for a very successful network marketing company in the Venetian Hotel in Las Vegas, we literally have almost 30,000 people in the audience, because they're a huge network marketing company. And then you're talking about these people in the audience, they are all gung-ho about the program, why they were there for. So I was one of the feature program, my program. So what we did was we took 2 homeless people from the street, literally. We went out and scouted for homeless people, 2 of them, men and and a woman. We brought them on stage right before the audience eyes. We did that makeover. By the time we were done with the makeover, no one could tell those 2 people were homeless before. Everybody thought they were high-end executive from a very prestigious corporation, and changed those 2 people's life forever. And so what I think, what we went through with these 2 homeless people were really, I started with my own program with the mindset first. I gave them some kind of almost like I call it like a orientation time. I spend 15 minutes with each one of them, trying to really help them with their mindset and see where they come from and why they were there to begin with. At the end of the day, they really it's changed their life, and we got 15 minutes standing ovation. It was terrifying to me, because I told you a private conversation, it's not about me, and I'm never a big fan of that spotlight or the limelight for myself. I don't like that focus on me. So but when you get a standing ovation, the focus is you. And that's the irony of it for me. The focus was me, and the whole place was roaring, almost like it's almost like the convention center almost like collapsing, because the audience was they went out of control, because they love what they saw. So that's what I'm saying. The reason why I'm telling this story is it's because it applies to every single thing in life. You change their mindset, you help them just really maneuver a little bit if they know how to do that, and they master it in no time, and they can carry it with them for as long as they live. I mean, wow. It's very, very important. So I think that's the answer. It has to start from everyone. It's grassroots process.
Yeah. So, while you're saying that, I just had this thought come into my mind that with homeless people, there shouldn't even be homelessness in this world, because this world is such a prosperous place and we have so much. And I believe that, again, with the cabal, all of the things they've done to us for thousands of years, they've separated us not only from God with all of their false religions they created and all the things that they've done, they've separated us from God and each other, and they've torn us all apart and made it so that we feel like everybody's out to get each other, or we all have to be out to get each other. And it's all this world where it's I'm for myself instead of I'm here to serve humanity. It's that service to self thing. They've created this whole service to self environment, and part of the ascension process is becoming 100% service to others. And what I really believe, and you can tell me if you think I'm wrong about this, but in the future, for all of this to change, it needs to be all of us coming together as a village to help these people. It's not, oh, there's a homeless person, you ignore them and you walk by. It's everybody gets together and helps all these people and gives them a hand up, give them the confidence. Like your program that you have is amazing, because what you're giving people is you're giving them self-confidence. And there's so many people, like even myself, I've had a solar plexus block my whole life because my mother was horrible to me. I was bullied as a child, all the way from the age of 2 until 18. I was being bullied, and I had really low self-esteem, really low self-confidence. And a lot of people, the reason that their lives wind up the way they are is because they don't have the confidence. They need some, to have that built, and it needs to be taught to them. These ideas and stuff. People need their empowerment, because the cabal has taken away everybody's sovereignty, everybody's free will, everybody's confidence. They make it so that you feel like your whole life is a struggle. And I think in the future, if they have programs like yours everywhere, like this is not just the Noel Wu program, it's a program like worldwide, like this is a worldwide like movement where everybody in the community is going to these people and making sure that nobody ever winds up homeless. And if they do, they immediately are taken care of. Like if somebody even gets to that point in their life, immediately the community comes together and they do something about it. They take that person under their wing and they love on them, and they give them compassion and kindness, and they help them, and they give them a hand up. They teach them things. They put a nice suit on them, they fix them up, and they give them their humanity back. Because the other thing that the cabal does is they strip away our humanity. And so I really feel like in the future, the program that you're doing, that type of thing needs to be a thing like worldwide. The whole mindset thing, the mindset program that you're doing, all of it, along with, one of my dreams has always been someday, if I had millions of dollars, given to me, I would build a special place where homeless women who have children or don't have children, just homeless women who maybe were abused or molested or raped, whatever, that they have like a place they can go live, where they have a career counselor, they have an image consultant, they have a life coach, they have a cosmetic person who can give them a makeover and make them feel good about themselves, and then teach them how to manifest their destiny, and teach them all of the things that they need to be successful in life, and give them their confidence back, and give them their power back and their sovereignty back. And I would like to see these types of things happen all over the world. But what do you think of this idea? Do you agree with me that this has to, we're never going to solve the homeless situation unless everybody comes together as a society to help?
I totally agree with that. I mean, but I'll bring it to a different context. I think, like I said, it's a grassroots process. I mean, it has to start from each and every one of us. And, people just really so caught up with their, daily routine. They just have no idea and what's going on around them, and even in their own life a lot of times. And that's why they got caught in so many life circumstances, and that really just brought them down. And at the end of the day, so they lost everything, so the mindset is really what keeps everybody sane and what keeps everybody attached and grounded, so to speak. So what I think is really the idea is, when you pick up one end of a stick, you pick up the whole stick. That's the idea. Okay. And the reason why I think mindset is very, very important is because if you think about it, the only difference between a ditch digger and a very wealthy visionary, you know what the difference is? It's a 6 inches distance. 6 inches distance between their left ear and the right ear. Meaning, in context, meaning that's where your mindset is, how you process your thoughts, what goes through your mind and what goes through your brain, and how you see things, your vision, the action that you decide to take. And that's it within the 6 inches of distance between your left ear and right ear. That's the only difference between the ditch digger and a wealthy, a successful visionary. Seriously. I mean, that's why I see mindset is the anchor. It's the most very, very important thing, because, like the Almighty Creator said, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. That is so, I love that. That's just awesome. Tidbit of knowledge for everybody right there. I mean, that's incredible. And also, I mean, one of the things I've been teaching people that goes beyond mindset, I've been teaching this concept since 2011, is manifestation. You're in control. You co-create with God everything that goes on in your life, based on your thoughts, which you're thinking all day long, and your feelings and your belief systems. There's a lot of people walking around this planet that have a lot of wrong belief systems that they've been taught since they were born. Things like money doesn't grow on trees, and you have to work hard for money, and you'll never be rich, and money is the root of all evil, and all these beliefs that people have been taught since they were small children, and they get that into their head, and they go through life, and then they go, why is it that I'm not successful? Why is it that, I'm struggling so much? And they have this, what they call subconscious tape playing in the back of their mind. Because what a lot of people, and I say this over and over in a lot of videos, 95% of your life is run by your subconscious mind. 85% of most people's subconscious mind is negative stuff. Like, you'll never be smart enough. You'll never be good enough. You're not enough. You're not worthy, and the churches pound this into people's head. Another cabal thing that they did, is a lot of the programming in the church programs you to basically, I don't want to say be a loser your whole life, but basically to suffer. There's a lot of suffering. It also goes on in Buddhists. It goes on in a lot of the different religions where they're programming you to have a life of suffering. The stuff of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not enough. They program that into you from the minute you're really little, a child. And so then you're struggling your whole life, and you look at a lot of these people walking around the earth that are suffering and just not happy with their career, not happy with their life. And a lot of that stems from their parents teaching them wrong beliefs, the churches and the schools teaching them wrong beliefs, and then generational, going back hundreds of years in their family, the same wrong belief system over and over and over again.
Well, to get back to the topic and your question on this thing, I would say, just to reinforce what you just said, money is the root. I don't really agree with that. It's not the money that is the root of all evil. It's the love and the obsession of money. That's what makes it the root of the all
that's
evil.
what it's a wrong belief.
Money is just an object. Okay.
Yeah.
So and this is what the Almighty Creator tells us to do. Love people, use money. Mm-hmm. Do not love money and use people, abuse people. Right. See, majority of the people, the cabal, is what they're doing is really they use money to abuse and to hurt people. Mm-hmm. But what's supposed to be done is really what the Almighty Creator is telling us to do, is really love people, use money to do so. Mm-hmm. Okay. So really, people just have to remember that money is not the root of all evil. It's the obsession and the greed for money is the root of the all evil. Okay. That's gets back to the mindset thing. Moses said, "My people perish because of lack of vision, lack of faith, because they didn't have the mindset."
Right. He
That's the
did.
problem.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? Because the Almighty Creator created us, and He gave us heavenly road are paved with gold. So life should be abundant. It's not scarce, but everybody's preconditioned to believe that life is scarce. So everybody's afraid to give. They're holding back, and all they want to do is keep taking and taking and taking, never give, because they think it's scarce. It's going to be, then it's not going to be enough for them. So that's the problem with the whole world. The scarcity mentality and scarcity mindset is what really killing this humanity.
I agree.
Life is
100%.
abundant.
Mm-hmm.
He paved the road with gold for us for a reason.
Yeah.
It's underneath your feet if you just look for it.
Yeah.
I guess that's all I need to say about the mindset thing. Hopefully
Yeah.
that helps.
Yeah, it's, I agree 100%. And, I wasn't saying I believe that money is the root of all evil. I was saying that's the belief system that people are taught. What I always tell people is that money's a tool, just like tarot cards are a tool. There's a lot of people who say, ooh, tarot cards are evil. It's like, no, they're not. They're just a tool. And in the hands of corrupt people, it can be evil. In the hands of good people, it can be used for good. And I always say the same with money. I describe it a little different than what you said. I agree 100% with what you said, but I also like to add in that if you give money to somebody who's evil, they're going to use it for evil purpose. If you give money to somebody who's really good and has a good heart, they're going to use it for good purpose. True. So it's just a tool, basically. And True. That's the way I look at it. So that's just my quick nickel synopsis on it, of what money is it's a tool. And just like all tools, it can be either corrupted or it can be good. And it's really that simple. But the belief systems, it's just the belief systems that have been ingrained into society, not only in recent times, but for hundreds of years. This goes back a long time. But I think when the if there really is a quantum financial system, I watch all these hundreds of videos where they keep talking about this quantum financial system that they're going to, yeah. And if they really, really do such a thing and everybody's on an equal foot kind of, and we're not talking communism, we're talking where people just aren't going to be poor, abandoned and homeless. If everybody had prosperity, if everyone had prosperity, and it's not about putting everyone on an equal thing and making everyone equal. It's about making everyone prosperous, like everybody prosperous on the planet, not just specific groups of people, but everybody. What do they say in the Bible about God wants to prosper you? God does want to prosper all of us. And the Cabal and Satan and Lucifer are the ones who have prevented humanity from prospering. Satan, Lucifer, and their little Cabal flackies, they have gone out of their way for the last thousands of years to prevent humans from prospering. But God doesn't want that. God wants us all to prosper. And so I believe that when that system is launched, if it's launched, that everybody will have that prosperity they need, and it will change that mindset of it's me for myself, and I have to fight my way to the top, and I have to I have to how do you want to say, constantly look out for myself and blah blah blah, but that more self-centered kind of thing. I think it'll enable people to be more service to others and more looking outside of themselves and wanting to help other people, because they won't be so worried about scraping by and putting food on the table. Because right now, this was my parents. I grew up in a very poor family. My situation wasn't as bad as yours. I wasn't in a slum, but my parents were very, very poor. And I shared a bedroom with my brother in an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment, until I was like 14 years of age. And then they finally bought a tiny, tiny little house where I had my own room. But the fact of the matter is, their whole thing was they were always worried about putting food on the table. I had to eat peanut butter sandwiches every day of my life when I was in elementary school because they didn't have, money. And so people and families should not have to be in that situation where they are worried about keeping food on the table. That should not be a thing. And that was created by the Cabal and by Satan and Lucifer, because the loosh that the reptilians feed off of is our suffering, the suffering of humanity. When people are suffering, when people are in pain, when people, are in poverty, they feed off of that energy. And so they have to keep us in this low vibration where everybody's barely scraping by, where you have to work hard. This is the way it's been on this earth for thousands of years. And this is ending now as we are transcending into this, ascension, into this 5D situation. We will no longer have a situation where we are always suffering. Instead, it's going to be we are always prosperous, which is what God has always wanted.
Yep. I think the Lord grants us power to establish His covenant of love. I mean, that's literally is the truth. And people don't realize that. They always think that, life is about, struggles and fight for, what you didn't have. It's true, but if you do it, righteously, I think that's the way it should be. And life should be abundant, not scarce. Okay. And the idea is, why I teach mindset and why I really want them to believe in themselves, that there's a lot of potential in everybody, is that you have to be the head, not the tail. The problem with a lot of people is that they're always being the tail. They're afraid of being the head. You see what I'm saying? Because, when you are the head, you have to make all the decisions. You have to really, do a lot of responsibility and, your duties and really make it right. But when you a tail, you just, you just keep following forever in your life. That's the problem with everyone. They didn't realize their potential is to be the head, not the tail, because when you're the tail, you always become the underdog, so to speak, So also the mentality that I want people to believe is that there's a lot more blessing to give than to receive. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Think about it. Put yourself in that mentality and just for a moment, forget about everything else in your life. Think now, pretend that you have all the resources to give, and you can do everything that you want to give and to make other people's life easier anonymously. That's what we are aiming to do. I want to help people anonymously without their knowing that I helped them. There's so much pleasure and satisfaction that comes out of your mind and thinking that you just help somebody and that you save that person's life and make that person happier, whatever, you transform that person's life. And it stays with you, and that positivity would grow, will manifest into much bigger things. And that's the thing. That's what everybody needs to, start working on. That's why I always want people to believe that life is abundant, not scarce. There's a lot more joy in giving than receiving, So it makes a lot of sense, because the idea is broke people cannot help broke people the same way the wealthy can. Make sense?
Yep.
That's
100%. I love your analogy.
You ever thought and have that itch in your mind and your drive that I wish I could just write a blank check for so and so who really needs it right now, and that person would know that I helped them. To me, that's nothing more joyful than that.
Yeah.
When you get the idea.
When you and I had that conversation for 4 hours, you were telling me that you do so much philanthropy where they don't know who you are. Like, you don't want to be known. You're one of these kind of like Robin Hood people, but not Robin Hood. I don't know what the term is, but you basically you give from your heart and you help people, but you don't necessarily want to be known that you're the one who did it. You want to do it anonymously. You just like to help people, and that you've always done that. And I think that that shows that you're somebody that has an amazing heart, because there's a lot of people who, you know, they have to take credit for that. They can't just go and help someone, you know, which is why I've always donated food to the food shelters. You know, they have no clue who I am, and I'll go bring grocery bags to the homeless food shelters all the time. You know, I try to do it, you know, regularly. I used to do it several times a year. Nobody knows who I am. They don't know that I'm providing, you know, food for the homeless, because I just want to help. It has nothing to do with my ego. I don't need to be recognized for that or anything like that. It's just about me being a service to those people somehow. And I know, and that's something really incredible about you. And you really blew me away when you told me that, because most of the people who I know, and I shouldn't say most, but I mean, there's a lot of people who I know who go and they help people, but they have to get like notoriety for it. Like, oh, I want everybody to know that I donated $1 million to blah, blah, blah. And with you, you go and you donate and you do this work, and you don't need to be known. You don't have a desire to be known that you did it. You like to stay anonymous, and you just give from your heart, which I think is such a commendable. I want to commend you on that, because that's such a beautiful, amazing quality. It shows what kind of a good person you are.
Well, I mean, because the idea is that, you know, the redemption doesn't come from who you help. The redemption come from the Almighty Creator, because you're planting these seeds.
Mhm.
I mean, you're paying it forward in a way, you know. Jesus said himself, his yoke is easy, his burden is light.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It means that you have to think of all of these challenges as a blessing,
Yeah.
you
Yep.
know. So I don't want to get you know, I mean, philosophical, but that's, I mean, I'm a very spiritual individual, but I mean, I'm not religious, but I mean, I always believe there's a bigger being, and there's, you know, we have to do the right thing,
Right.
and that's sort of thing, you know. And your church is in your mind and your heart, you know, it's
Yes.
not in a building.
Right. It is. It's the temple of the Holy Spirit, right? You know, you have your temple of
Yeah.
your Holy Spirit, and your Holy Spirit is connected to God at all times. It's never separated from God. Even if the evil ones who have been running this planet for thousands of years have tried to separate us from God, but it's kind of a big joke, because you're never separate from God. And it's just a false belief. They've given people a belief that they're separate from God, but they're not. We're never separate from God. We're always connected to source, to our source creator, whatever you want to call it. You can call it, I call it mother, father, you know, creator, whatever you want to call it. You know, we're always connected to that loving, creative energy 24/7, and nothing can. It's kind of like you read and you watch all these videos about how they say people are giving their soul to Satan, or they're being taken over by a demon. Nobody owns your soul except for God. Only God, source, the creator that made your soul, owns your soul, and you own your soul. Nobody else can own your soul. So if you think you're giving your soul away to some demonic whatever, so you can have fame and fortune and all this, all these celebrities who do that kind of thing, and baseball players and football players who they give their soul away, it's kind of a joke, because their soul isn't theirs to give away, really. Their soul belongs to creator.
Ironically, what you just said, really, I've known probably a lot of them. I mean, almost every single one of them. It's to their own demise that they do that. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, their own demise come knocking, and then they realize that, you know, that was the wrong path that they chose.
Mhm.
You know, that's why I separated my.
Uh-oh, I lost you. Are you there? I lost you. Hello? You there, Noel? Oh no, I lost Noel. I don't know if you can hear me, but I lost you. Are you there? Oh, wow. Okay. Well, let's see. I'm going to call Noel on the phone, is what I'm going to do. I'm going to call him, and I'm going to get him onto this video that way, because I lost him completely. So I'm going to try to call him. Let's see. Oh, darn, I don't have his number. Shoot. Thought I had his number. Oh, there he is. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. You were gone. You were off the video for a really long time. You were just, there was nothing. It was just silence and your video was frozen. And I don't have your phone number. And I thought I did to call you. And I was going to pipe you in via the telephone or something to the video.
So, well, anyway, I guess, I hopefully I gave all the points that you needed.
Yeah. You gave,
and hopefully the audience gets something out of it.
Yeah, I think they will. I'm really, really grateful for your joining me here today. And is there any, well, first of all, I'm going to ask you two things before you go. Number one is, what qualities do you think that people need if they're in a situation kind of like you were, or anything like that, where they're in a bad situation and they need to come out of it? What are just a few pointers or things, mindset pointers that you can give people to get out of a bad situation into a better kind of situation? What are a few pointers that you can give?
Sure. Again, like I said earlier, I don't want to get, sound like I'm a religious person, but I'm quoting Jesus. He said, his yoke is easy, his burden is light. I mean, it means a lot. And then if you read between the lines, that alone can teach you and bring you to a lot of good things. And my own philosophy is really, the mindset is really the center of our being, and we just have to really tweak that and check that in the right place. Meaning, I think everybody have to just as the a layman's term is, the moral compass. Everybody has that moral compass, So if you, at any given point in your life, you always adjust your moral compass in the right direction, I think you should be answered. I think, and the help and the answers are out there. You just need to really look for it, and you have to be willing and open-minded enough to mold yourself, to know that there's something you can do to get yourself in a better place. Because a lot of people just don't believe that, there's something out there for themselves. They always believe, you know what, that's for them, not for me. I can't do that. That's not me. I'm not smart enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty. I'm not handsome. And whatever. That's the problem. We also teach self-confidence. That's the biggest thing, self-confidence. If you just have that checked out and really make sure that you know what needs to be looked at, I think that's all the ingredients you need, really. I mean, to look at life and then really just manifest things. The manifestation is really your energy that you send out, that your thoughts, your intention, that becomes manifestation. I mean, that's the thing that people really need to realize. They manifest a lot of negative things throughout their life. And that's why, to their own demise, they didn't realize it comes back to them. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I'm talking philosophy, but it's not philosophy at the same time. It's also practical, because I practice it myself, and I see it happens every single moment in my life, every single time I do that. After all, we all same thing. We're human beings. We bleed the same way. Our blood color is the same. Your blood's not going to be green. Your blood's not going to be, purple or whatever. Your blood is red, like everybody else's blood. What makes anybody's different? That's what I just said earlier. I mean, it's 6 inches between your left ear and right ear. Very simple.
Right. Wow, that's some really good advice. And actually, everything you've been sharing today, I think, has been amazing, inspirational, for people. There's so many people out there that are really struggling right now because the situation, seriously, on our planet is just so very bad. And I'm really, really grateful that I'm able to have people like yourself on my channel to share this inspiration with people, so people can see that no matter how bad your situation is, it can always, get better, and you can always change your life. You have the ability to change your own life, and nobody else can do it for you. You have to be accountable and you have to be responsible. And I think accountability is the main word, like you were talking about the tail, the head and the tail, wanting to be the head and the tail. The head is the accountability. The people who are the tail don't want the responsibility and the accountability. They want to run away from it. There's a lot of people like that. I have people in my family like that. They constantly run away from their responsibility and their accountability, and they play small, and then they complain. They sit and bitch and complain about how horrible their life is when they're purposely choosing to not be responsible or accountable. And when you are step into full accountability and full responsibility, that is when you are going to have success in your life. And that's the only way you're going to have success in your life, because people who are never accountable and never responsible are not going to be successful. They go hand in hand. And so I'm really grateful for everything that you shared today. Can you tell everybody, where can they find out more if they want to get involved in your mindset program? Where can they find that?
Like I said, we're not really doing the mindset thing anymore right now.
Okay.
We're doing the spreading the truth.
Okay, so you're focusing on that. So people can get your book though, right?
Probably more important, saving the humanity. Yes, the book is on Amazon and Barnes and Noble. But again, we're not here to promote my book, but for the sake of the audience, if they really want to read what I have in mind, is really the title of the book is The Black Book of Being Sensational. The Black Book of Being Sensational on Amazon.com and Barnes and Noble. But I mean, that's just what I did in the past. Maybe in the future, if the Lord's willing, after all our mission is accomplished with spreading the truth and saving humanity, we may get back to that. We may not. I mean, it depends on how this QFS system is going. The quantum financial system is really, that's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing. Like you said earlier, it's not the same thing like the communism, like everybody's, have the same thing equal. It has nothing to do with that. It's about the opportunity of everybody to grow. Right. And the abundance that everybody has to access, because there's plenty for everybody to be happy, and there's still a lot left, and don't believe in 1 second of what you hear and watch and see out in the mainstream media, because they will tell you the earth resources is so limited and it's going to be the end of the world, this climate change and all these things. All of those are just perpetrated by the cabal for you to have that scarcity mentality and mindset. The Lord created us and paved the road for us with gold. Think about that. So
that's beautiful. I agree. And so Noel, your main purpose now is just focusing on getting the truth out. And didn't you do something with Sacha Stone? You did like a video or a conference or something with Sacha Stone recently?
Our last broadcast was just a couple of weeks ago, May 12th, and he's on America tour right now, Sacha, with all the truth seekers. We are planning on the next broadcast. I don't know when, because it depends on his schedule, and my schedule is really crazy. And we're not doing it alone. We're doing it with a lot of really renowned, credible truth seekers, scientists and doctors. Letting incredible. People know what they need to know and what they need to see. I mean, it's just, it is. I mean, it humbles, really totally humbles me. I'm just another person trying to do my part. That's all.
Right. Wow. And I am so grateful. Sorry, my voice is going from sinuses. I'm having spring allergies here. My sinuses are draining like no tomorrow. I really appreciate all that you're doing, to serve the planet, and the fact that just everything you've done to me has been such an inspiration. And I think that's why we were talking for like 4 hours last time, because I feel like I love learning from people like yourself. Well, we all learn from each other. We all have something to share. I tell people I'm a spiritual teacher, but I'm also a student, because I'm always learning from everyone else. I'm learning from my children. In fact, I think I learn the most in my life from my children. but I learn from everybody all the time. We all learn from each other. Yeah. And I love having these meaningful conversations with people who have had such inspirational backgrounds and such vast knowledge and have been through so many extraordinary circumstances and overcome them and done something important with their life, and they're doing something to serve humanity. To me, that's just incredible, and I try to align myself with as many of those people as possible, people who are just here to use all of their knowledge and their experience to be of service. I think it's just so important, and I will keep doing what I do on this channel. I do this for free. I don't monetize my channel. I'm not using YouTube to make money. I'm using it to spread the truth and to share information, to teach people and help people on their ascension path. And that's why I have people like you join me here on this channel. And I will continue to do that as long as I'm able, until I get shut down or until whatever. I will keep going. Keep going and going.
We've been banned from YouTube for what we do. So unfortunately, that's unfortunate. So
yeah,
we're in the process of starting our own platform. So
awesome. I keep under their radar by not using the C word, not using the M word, not using the pokey word.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stay under the radar by not saying specific words that because they have their algorithm. They listen to what you say in the video, and if you say a specific word, then they flag your channel and they shut you down. So I try to stay under their
Mm-hmm.
radar by using code language or getting around it. Just like when we talk about certain ex-presidents, we use Mr. T or something like that to describe, so that we don't get, because if you say a politician's name, you get shut down. So
yeah, you're doing great thing, and you're doing great thing to the humanity, and I love that. I love that in everybody who's doing that, and it always fascinates me to talk to people and meet people who are doing the same thing I am. It humbles me, and because none of us can do anything alone and on our own and by ourselves. We need to corroborate and we need to support each other for the common goal. And like I said, the Lord created us for a reason and for a purpose. Every one of us are the ambassador of humanity. So we need to represent that instead of killing that. So
right. Well, thank you again. I know you have a lot to do and I have a lot to do today, but I'm going to put a link to your book just because you wrote it, and I know it's going to be an amazing book for everybody to read. So I haven't had a chance to read your book yet, but I plan on it.
I will have Sherry. You know what? Sherry hadn't had a chance to mail you a copy. I will have Sherry mail you a copy. Okay. I will autograph it for you.
Oh, thank you.
Just give Sherry your contact information, your address, where you want it to be mailed, and I'll have it mailed out to you.
Oh, I appreciate that greatly. I'll have to send you a copy of my book. I need to get more. I don't have any hard copies. I actually, you know what? I have a copy of Ascension 101. So I can sign that and send that to you. We can do a book exchange.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
So yeah, we'll have to do that. I'll get an address from Sherry to send you an autographed copy of Ascension 101. Everybody needs to have that on the planet who's awake, basically. And that's what Yeshua, when I channeled the book, Yeshua said to me that every single awake person on this planet needs to read that book because it answers everybody's questions. What is God? Why are you here? What is your purpose? What is the ascension? How do you raise your vibration? How do you protect your energy? All the important things that everybody needs to know about metaphysical stuff, about esoteric stuff is in that book. It's like a total, guidebook. And so I'll send you a copy of that because you need to have that. Everybody needs to have it. So
I wrote the book for the purpose of helping people with self-confidence and mindset. So it's there a lot of practical things in the book, and I made it an easy read, and it's a fun thing, and it's a lot of things in the book that you can immediately practice and do it on your own at home. Literally with the wardrobe thing. So it's the fun part, the practical part.
That's awesome.
Kind of like assessing your own skin tone and your own body shape, so you have all those in the book. So anyway.
Well, that's awesome. There's a lot of people who need that help. A lot of women who
thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been my honor and pleasure to be talking to you this morning, and hopefully that helps. The goal is to help people. Hopefully the message goes out and help many.
Yep. Well, thank you all for joining us here today. And thank you, Noel. And I'm sure you and I will be having plenty of discussions in the future, and maybe even meet up
Yep.
eventually in person, which I'm looking
I
forward to
hope
meeting.
so.
Yeah,
I
I
hope
hope
so.
to meet you once I can fly again. I can't wear one of those face cover things because I have health issues that makes me pass out if I wear one of those for longer than 5 minutes. So until they
Me
stop,
neither. I can't
yeah.
wear
So
fast masks.
and I don't own a private jet, so basically I can't fly anywhere until all of that stops and goes
Yeah.
away. So once all of that is taken down, I can fly and go out and meet people like Noel and all of you, everybody who's listening. I can't wait to come and meet you all and hang out with all my clients and go around and teach workshops all over the world. That's my goal. So I hope you guys found this a beneficial video. Please like it, share it, and subscribe, and also comment, because when you comment, when you like it and share it, then it gets more attention for this channel. And all of these videos are here to help people on their journey. And that's what we're here to do. So thank you all for joining me. I'm grateful for all